Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Kingdom Hearts 2 playthrough! So here we are in the Hall of Empty Melodies. Now, if you want to have that wonderful drive gauge glitch happening, to get a nice quick way of unlocking Final Form, this is your time if you want to do it here. Basically, just run back to the corridor we were in the last time, try and go into a drive form. If that doesn't send you into final form, run back into this room, you will revert, keep your drive gauge, go straight back out and repeat ad nauseum until you get the wonderfulness that is final form. And I'm pretty sure I am probably using ad nauseum. Oh no, I'm using it correct. That's good. I was slightly worried for a moment there.
This structure
What's this gadget for?
It's a device to reclaim Kingdom Hearts and encode it as data.
Not sure I get it.
I do not claim to know the outcome of this venture either. After all, hearts are unpredictable.
And here we are in the proof of existence, which, as you can see, is a bit of a misery, really. It's a graveyard. Yes, that's very true. And if you have a look at all of the places where graves once stood, you will see the Flurry of the Dancing Flames, the Melodious Nocturne, the Chilly Academic, the Silent Hero, the Free Shooter, the Whirlwind Lancer, the Cloaked Schemer, the Graceful Assassin, the Savage Nymph, the Key of Destiny, and there are two others that remain. So these are all the graves of, or at least sort of, they used to be the proof of existence of the members of the organisation. However, there are only 3 that survive. One's been kind of wrecked, but it survives, and that's Roxas. Now, if you normally come back straight through here, then you will be fighting enemies all along the way. I just decided to cut out a little bit of grinding for you, because otherwise this would have been like a nearly 30-minute part, and I can't be bothered. I didn't exactly gain any levels in that time. I literally was just running through this corridor trying to get levels, and just thought, I'll just save you the pain for this one, because I've forced you to sit through other stuff. But I've got a nice little cut here which works. And I would definitely recommend levelling up, because this is going to take us to level 51, which then means that we are slightly above the recommended level, and technically it should mean that we are in with a much better chance of getting through the rest of the game. Having said that, our next boss fight is still going to be a massive pain in the derriere. And I do mean that very, very, very seriously. Because our next fight is against Luxord, and he is a massive pain because he's not a normal boss fight. Once again, when you face off against things that are not standard, that's when you generally get screwed over. And Luxord is a prime example of that. Now, having brought up Luxord, who is the gambler of fate, should probably go into his voice actor, because he's been in a lot and I don't think I've covered it yet. I think it's basically because so much of my moaning of Port Royal was going on that I didn't have time. So Luxord is voiced by Robin Atkin Downes, who has been in an absolute butt-ton of stuff. So, in terms of film, he is Ack in How to Train Your Dragon, He has been Edward in Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, Loop Group in Jack the Giant Slayer, Simon Cowbell in Postman Pat the movie, Prime number 3 in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, and he's also David in the English voice dub of Steamboy. Having said all of that, people will most likely recognise him from his other video game works. And he's been in a lot. So, I mean, the one that I'm very excited about is he's the voice of Altessa, Bota, and Origin in Tales of Symphonia. Which, as you should know by this point, I love that game! He is also Cyclops in quite a lot of X-Men stuff. Lots of the X-Men video games, and I think he has appeared in other X-Men related things. He also voiced the Prince in Prince of Persia Warrior Within. I think it was only that game, but it still. He's the voice of Hiro Kasai in Killer 7. He is Seth in Baten Kaitos Origins. He is a number of voices in Gears of War, but nothing particularly important. He's the voice of Travis Touchdown in No More Heroes and No More Heroes 2, which is just like, yes!
They must be higher up.
And
Better hurry.
yeah, but he's in so much. Not as much as certain people, but still a huge amount of things. So, like, I mean, he's Captain Conrad Roth in the Tomb Raider reboot. He is also Robert in The Last of Us. Kazuhira Miller in, I think, most of the Metal Gear Solid games. And he's going to be in Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, because he was in Ground Zeroes. And yeah, he's just awesome. The only thing I can say that's disappointing is he got stuck with Luxord, who I love the voice and I love the idea, but Luxord does so little, and the boss fight is just so cheap that you just end up just like, because basically, so you're on a time limit to defeat him, and basically the only way that you're going to be able to defeat him is by making Luxord's time gauge go down before yours. Also, I should point out we got Oblivion after the cutscene with Riku, which is glorious! Now, whenever you go into that thing, make sure to kind of flip Luxord's card, because otherwise he's going to be a pain in the backside. And don't do the ones that have got flames on them, because you are literally just going to end up hurting yourself. Magnaga is so useful for this fight because it means that you can kind of stop all of his cards attacking you. Now, you can do that whole begin game thing, but I never could quite get it to work properly. And I think on times where I have done it, it's screwed me over immensely, so I just avoid doing it at all costs. I really don't like this fight. I mean, I died the first time I did it on this recording as well. It's what happens, because it's a difficult fight, because it plays with things that you aren't used to. And while I think that's fine, it just... this type of weirdness niggles me. I mean, it's like... well, it is definitely like in The Wonderful 101, the boss of Chapter 5, where it's suddenly a Punch-Out reference, and you're just like, This doesn't work. Also, after a while, you'll go into that thing. Basically, what I think you're meant to do is get all 4 things to be circles, and then when you succeed, you win that and cut off some of his thing. But if you fail, then you'll end up in this heart form and just have to wait till your form gauge goes down. But yes, yeah, so there's the punch-out boss, and it's completely different to anything that you've done before. So to have to do a fight, a boss fight in it, is slightly unfair. The only thing I can say there is, at least, you can relatively quickly figure out the tells and figure out what you were meant to do. Whereas here it's a lot more difficult to be able to tell. Also, there you go, look sword, sorry. You get a little bit of a pants death, really. Like, at least some of the other organisation members got to go out with a little bit of flair.
You okay?
You just kind of went,
Yeah,
oh,
no worries. Let's keep moving.
kablooey. And now we can go straight on to our next fight. And that's going to be against Sayax, who I also haven't really dealt with, because I mean, he's been kind of in the background, not really doing a whole lot other than kind of being broody and evil. But Sayax is the Lunar Diviner, and he's kind of essentially Xemnas' second in command. And although second in command, with Xigbar being kind of more important but less important, it's a bit, the dynamic's a little bit weird. But Sayax is voiced by Kirk Thornton, who is awesome and has also been in a ridiculous number of things. It tends to happen whenever you have sort of a video game, you tend to get the same batch of very prolific voice actors, because they're all excellent for the most part. So they get a lot of work. So you'd probably recognise Kirk Thornton as Gabumon, Garurumon, Wegarurumon, Metal Garurumon, and Mummymon in Digimon Adventure and Digimon Adventure 02, as well as a few other roles in the Digimon stuff, but Gabumon is, I would say, the prime thing you would recognise him as. He is also... Oh, I'm going through the... I could have cut that out, but it's stuff that you can look through, and it's something I will be covering in the extras, because I want to show this off, but not quite right now. He's Mr. Fuji and Lance in Pokemon Origins, which is glorious! He's also the current voice of Dr. Jacques von Hamsterville in Stitch, which is that awful Lilo and Stitch anime, which I refuse to believe exists, even though it does, but it is not a thing. He's also Guile in Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, and also Gustav and / Count Cagliostro in the Castle of Cagliostro, depending on the dub, because I think there's different ones. He's also the current voice of Shadow the Hedgehog in the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, and Orbot. You can hear him in the Sonic Boom cartoons, and also the Sonic Boom game, which we also should try and forget about, because... And then in terms of video games, he's just so prolific. So he's Shanath in Baton Kaitos Origins. He is Genfu in Dead or Alive 5. He's Kasame in the Naruto series of games. He's Sebastian in Nier. He's also Jade Curtis in Tales of the Abyss, which is just a wonderful character. I love Jade. Like, the sarcasm levels of Jade in Tales of the Abyss are just off this. They're just phenomenal, and it's wonderful. I love it. And that'll probably do us for now, but he's been in a lot as Kirk Thornton, and he's generally very good. It's just sort of, I think, particularly with Shadow, they've kind of messed him up a little bit. It's not good. It's his work as Shadow, but his work as Syax is excellent. And just completely and utterly chilling. It's creepy as all hell.
Different name, same fate.
Nice subtle way of keeping them out of the fight. Nice. I like that. I mean, at least it's slightly less bull than Luxord's card trick, but either way. We begin our fight with Syax, which is technically meant to be one of the hardest fights of the organisation, and it can be. But I have to say that I do technically find this fight easier than, like, Luxord or Zigbar. And I believe that is partly because, as long as you make sure you're dodging, this is fine. Because the gimmick of Syax is that as you attack him, his berserk meter goes up. Once that kind of hits full, he will go into berserk mode, and then kind of attack you very, very, very aggressively. You can't damage him, and you just kind of have to wait it out. Slash, I think, make use of his claymore against him, because he will kind of eventually make his claymore kind of stick in the ground, and then you can pick it up and do the berserk thing that you do with the berserker nobodies. And once you've done that, then he will have minimal berserk power, and the process repeats. So even though he's very, very, very aggressive, he is a lot easier because it plays with stuff that you should know. Also, never try and activate Goofy, whirly goof go in the air. It's not going to end well for you. Now, I was watching a speedrun of Kingdom Hearts 2 a little while ago, relatively recently for when I'm recording this. And by recently I mean a couple of weeks ago now. And basically, Syax is one of the fights where using Faraga as a sort of revenge factor nulling agent works a charm, because if you can kind of trap him in Faraga, then I don't think his berserk thing goes up, or at least he won't activate berserk mode even if it goes full. Also, I have to, I'm rather amused by the shape of their R for the berserk thing at the top, because it kind of looks like basic. Because it kind of looks like an A. But it's definitely berserk, don't worry. And he's on his last health bar, so really Syax is easier than a lot of the other organisation members, because even though it's a challenge, the cheapness of the gimmick is a lot less frustrating to deal with, and he's done! And all of the organisation are dead. Bar one.
Why? Kingdom Hearts. Where is my heart?
I don't get it. Why has everybody been calling me Roxas?
Because, Sora. Roxas is your nobody.
My... nobody? But that's crazy. I never turned into a heart... Oh. Right.
It was when you came to rescue me. Remember?
Xemnas was the one who found Roxas. He could use the Keyblade because he was your nobody. That's why Xemnas brought him into the organization. But Roxas betrayed them. After that, I fought him because I thought it would help you wake up. I lost. But the next time we met, I made sure I was the stronger one. Maybe I didn't need to fight him after all. I think he left the organization because he really wanted to meet you.
Roxas. I wish I could meet him too.
All right, let's go.
And with Syax defeated, as I said, we've only got one more stop to go. After a little rest, it's time for us to head up to the top and begin our showdown with Xemnas. This is gonna be absolutely amazing!